distract you a bit, and now you can focus with me. So I'm Aurelie Litynski. I'm a positive work culture expert. I'm a TEDx speaker. I'm a certified Chief Happiness Officer. Yes, it does exist. A certified Chief Wellbeing Officer. And since only a month, and I'm still very proud to say, I am an author. I just launched my book, 100 Ideas for a Positive Work Culture. So don't worry, I'm not going to share for the next 3 hours the 100 ideas. You can get the book if you want for that. But I will share quite a lot of ideas for this session on positive leadership. So let's start. Besides your work experience, your education, and your knowledge, do you know what else will make a huge difference in your career? Your attitude, your mindset, your behaviors. In other words, your leadership style, right? So I'd like to share with you a bit of my knowledge and experiences on how to be an appreciated colleague, how to be a trusted and a modern leader, and a contributor to a more positive work culture. Now, before we deep dive and I give you a lot of tips, I'd like you to think about one specific person, one leader you had in your career that you really appreciated, that you considered as a great leader. Think about a great leader you've had. Think about his or her name. Do you have a name in mind? How did this person make you feel, or made you feel? What was so special about that specific leader? Think about it. Can you say a few words? What was so special about that leader? Just you can shout. Was it about his communication style? Yeah? Respect, okay. What else? Just say it out loud if you want. Trust, okay. He was here, right? Present, supporting you. Who you are today might also be thanks to this person, don't you think? And I believe that great leaders are like real friends. We can count them on one hand, maybe two if you're lucky, right? I remember the best leader I had in my career. His name was Alan. He was a very special leader to me from day one because he clearly hired me for attitude and not only for skills, I tell you. It was 20 years ago back in Vancouver when I used to work in Canada, and I had no experiences, almost no experiences, but he gave me a great job with a lot of responsibilities that I wanted. He believed in me even before I believed in myself. And Alan was such a special leader because he knew how to create an environment where we felt good and where we could really work, we could be our best. He knew how to support us, he trusted us, he showed a lot of understanding, compassion, trust, and so on. He was a happy leader. So what do you think my Alan and your special leaders have in common? They might all show an above average level of emotional intelligence, don't you think? And that emotional intelligence is what often separates, well, a good leader from a great one. Leaders with high level of emotional intelligence have a better impact in their role, they have better mental health, and they obtain better business results. So we need to embrace that, especially in the business world, your IQ is not enough anymore. Your EQ will make the difference. Your emotional intelligence will make the difference. Of course, here we go. I had a slide for that. Of course, your intelligence matters, right? I'm sure you're all very intelligent. But your IQ is not enough anymore. Your EQ will make the difference, especially with our new way of working, especially with the rise of artificial intelligence. I mean, I love AI, right? If it's well used, no problem at all. But the more we use technology, the more we seek for authentic human interactions. So you might have a high IQ, you might be a great expert in your field, you might have great technical skills, and you might use AI to work smarter. But your EQ, your emotional intelligence, is what really sets you apart as a colleague, as a team member, and as a leader. So it's very important to develop your emotional intelligence. Now, what is emotional intelligence? Well, emotional intelligence is basically how you manage yourself and your relationships to others. So it's a set of skills that can be learned and developed over the time. And I'm going to show you or explain you very briefly, because it could be another book, I'm going to explain you very briefly the 4 domains of emotional intelligence, and I want to give you some tips on how to develop each domain, so you can really start building your own toolbox to lead with more positivity and to create a more positive work culture, especially in the age of AI. So the first domain of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. So of course, self-awareness, it's about recognizing our emotions. Like, how do you feel right now? What kind of emotions do you have during the day? Is it more positive emotion? Is it more negative emotions? Without judging, just naming your emotions. Because when you acknowledge, especially your difficult emotions, you get through them with less intensity. So by naming emotions, you reduce the intensity. So very important. You can find your own way. You can just, describe your emotion with just one word, one emoji. You can do some journaling. You can walk outside and just think about how you feel. Find your own way, but self-awareness here is extremely important. Then once you did that, the second domain of emotional intelligence is basically self-management, self-regulation. So it's about learning how to regulate your emotions, controlling your behaviors. Because you cannot always control how you feel, but you can try to control what you want to do with these emotions, right? Here again, it's very personal how you want to regulate your emotions. The way I regulate my emotion might not be the same than you, right? You might want to do some hardcore sport, you might want to go out for a walk, you might want to hug a tree. However you want to regulate your emotion, you need to be aware of it and you need to know what's in your own toolbox. So again, this is extremely important and there are a few tips I want to show you here. The first one, it's learning how to breathe. Because by just breathing, by just concentrating on one thing, on your breathing, it will definitely help you to regulate your emotion. Do you know the box breathing methodology? Yes, no, kind of? Should we try it together? Yeah? Oh, cool. Okay, so just for 1 minute, we are going to breathe together. Let me explain you the science behind it first. Basically, when we are going to breathe, we are going to count in our head 1, 2, 3, 4, because we are going to inhale for 4 seconds, then we are going to hold our breath for 4 seconds, and then we'll exhale for 4 seconds, but I really want you to count in your head, okay, because you are going to focus on one thing, and then we'll hold again for 4 seconds, okay? And it's really working because it's distracting your mind as you count to 4. And by breathing and concentrating on one thing, you are going to calm your nervous system and you are going to reduce your stress hormone, the cortisol, okay? Are you up for it? Let's do it. So 2 feet on the ground, sit in a straight position, and just be open-minded just to try it for a few seconds, okay? So you just follow my lead. We are going to inhale for 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale through the mouth, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, again, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, one more time, inhale, hold, exhale, hold. How do you feel? Yeah, good. If you are doing it for the first time, it might be a bit uncomfortable, yeah? Holding the breath, we are not used to that, but it's really helping normally to calm your mind, to regulate your emotion. You can do that in a meeting, no one will see it. I do that when I am in a meeting with a client and they don't even see it. When they get on my nerves, I'm like, just breathing. I do that, when my husband is getting on my nerves also. I do that with my kids. I do that before going to sleep if I need to really concentrate a bit and release my emotion. Breathing is a very powerful technique. If you are not really feeling comfortable with this one, the 4-4-4, you have many other breathing techniques. You can look on internet. It's very powerful to regulate your emotion. Of course, there are other tricks to regulate your emotion. Another one is to work in a smarter way, so learn to stay focused. Because if we have a lot of distractions, if we do not know how to manage our time at work, it's going to stress us, and at one point we are going to go into this, hamster wheel, and it's going to be very hard to manage our emotion. So of course, using time management techniques like the Pomodoro technique, when you work 25 minutes straight, you focus on one task and then 5 minutes break, or the time boxing technique will definitely help you, yeah? So you schedule your task in your calendar and you focus on one task. I don't have much time to develop this, but I really want you to be aware that if you learn how to stay focused, if you are using the right time management technique, it will definitely help you to regulate your emotion and to handle your stress level. Of course, hack back your external triggers. We all have this ding and the dong and the notification and the envelope in our teams and so on. Let's really choose your notification. Don't get disturbed every 5 minutes at work, because this will get on your nerves. You're going to be stressed. You're not going to apply your to-do list, and then it's going to be catastrophe, yeah? So learn to stay focused, because this is really helping you as well to regulate your emotion and to handle better your emotion. The third domain of emotional intelligence is social awareness. So I can feel that you get tired today. I can really feel that you're listening to me, but you're thinking about the drink you might have very soon, right? So it's really about learning to read the room, learning the body languages, yeah? Like, what do you mean? These kind of things. Facial expression and so on. So this is very important. Another thing that you can do for social awareness is really starting to focus a bit more on people and not only your task. Show more empathy, understanding, compassion. This would definitely help you to develop your social awareness, right? Another one I want you to show you, is to start your meeting and your one-on-one differently. So there are many ways to start a meeting, and of course, the tip I'm going to show you, it's not about starting the meeting every time like this, right? But from time to time, especially if you have a group meeting or if you have a workshop, you can really assess your team's emotional state. So I selected a few examples I am personally doing with leaders and teams I'm working with. Basically, I'm often asking them, again, not every single day, but which emoji best describe your current state of mind? Nice, fun way to do. How's your energy level at work this week? Or even the last one, what's the one word or one emoji that best describes how you feel today? By asking these kind of questions, you can see the tendency. And then as a leader, as a meeting leader, as a workshop leader, what do? You can adapt your behaviors. You can adapt your content. You can adapt your attitude. You can spend a bit more time by discussing about it or by addressing it after the meeting, for example, with certain people, right? So find your own way, but this is really helping to have more social awareness. And the last domain of emotional intelligence I want to touch today is relationship management. So here it's all about managing social interaction successfully. So you need to learn how to manage conflict, right? We all need to learn how to manage conflict. You need to learn how to have an open communication, how to give feedback. Feedback is not just constructive feedback, like you did that, let's do that next time, or do it better. It's also about positive feedback. It's also about learning how to use positive psychology when you give a constructive feedback and when you give a positive feedback. There's a whole story about feedback. I have a whole chapter on it if you want to know more. And it's also learning how to lead more with your heart and not just with your mind. Yeah? Of course, important to be rational from time to time, but really start to concentrate a bit more on the emotional level. This will definitely help you also to develop or to manage social interaction successfully. And here the example I chose to show you for this domain is to learn to listen. So what do I mean by that? We know what is active listening by asking the right questions and so on, but sometimes we kind of forget about how do we behave when we are listening to someone. So I created this acronym for the book, the LISTEN, and I'd like to explain that very briefly to you because it might inspire you next time someone comes to you and have a discussion. It might inspire you to adapt a bit your behaviors or to pay attention to your behaviors. So the L is for leave distractions. Quite clear, right? If someone comes to you, make sure you're really in the discussion. Put your phone away, close your laptop, just, be in the now, be in the conversation. Don't really think about, it's funny, you see? Like you should learn, apparently. No, but all of us, we have a tendency to have the phone and to see the laptop even though we are in a conversation. Let's stop to do that, please, especially for crucial conversation. We need to show that we are really in the conversation, sir, right? So leave distractions, very important. The I is for intention. Whoopla. The I is for intention because you are not going to behave the same way to someone who needs to vent or to someone who needs a solution, right? Someone who needs to vent, if you bring the solution right away, forget about it. It's not going to work, okay? So you need to know the intention of the conversation, your own intention. This is extremely important. The next one, the S, is silence. Very hard for me personally. When someone comes to me and ask me something, I'm like, yeah, I know what you mean, and then I bring solutions. Many of us do that. But some people need to bring us the full story. They need to really tell the full story before hearing the solutions. Of course, we have to adapt everything I say here to the context, right? But in general, please give them the time to explain you the full story. So let them talk. Once you did that, of course, go deeper in the conversation. So what do you mean? And tell me more. And give me an example, and so on. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Tell me more. The E is for empathy. When you are listening to someone, very important to learn how to show empathy, to learn how to be more compassionate, to show more understanding, and so on. And the N, nonverbal communication. Now the paparazzi are there, I can see. So N is for the nonverbal communication. We spoke about it. Pay attention to your facial expression, to your body language, because the other person in front of you will feel it if you are listening or not, and if you agree or not, yeah? So pay attention to your behaviors. This is a fantastic, in my opinion, reminder on how to behave when we are listening to someone. So again, these are the 4 domains of emotional intelligence. Of course, I could develop more and more, but I'm not going to do that. You're already tired enough. But make sure to understand that your behaviors, your motivation will also impact these 4 domains of emotional intelligence, right? So developing your EQ is really important, but it takes time. It's not just from one day to another. It's not like, oh yeah, now I'm going to be super good at emotional intelligence. We are all humans, right? Some days we are really bad at it, and that's okay. But we really need to get better at it. We need to understand better the science behind it and to know our toolbox on what can we do to develop each domain of emotional intelligence, because focusing on your human skills will have a great impact on your leadership side, right? So a team with excellent human skills will definitely create more happiness in the workplace and will perform much better. We need to have happy employees. We need to have happy leaders in companies. And my next question to you is, are you taking care of your happiness in your life in general? Are you taking care of your happiness? Yeah, right? Yeah. We might have different ways, but very often our happiness is one of our top priorities in life. So I always wonder, why isn't it a priority in the workplace? Yeah? And believe me, I've been speaking with top leaders in the world everywhere, and they always tell me, or very often they tell me the same thing. I cannot speak about the employees' happiness, Aurelie, because they will kill me. I prefer to speak about the employees' engagement. If I bring the topic of happiness, as they are super stressed, they will say, like, what are you talking about? So I prefer to speak about the employees' engagement. It's what they tell me. And I always tell them the same thing. Well, okay, but your employees can be engaged and not happy. And what's that then, in the long term? Burnout. Yeah? So it's very important also to pay attention to the employees' feeling, how they feel, to their well-being, to their happiness, because we need to have happy employees. We need to feel good in the workplace. And thanks to positive psychology, we have now more than 20 years, 25 years even, of scientific studies which prove that our emotions, our well-being, our happiness have a major impact on us, on our work, and of course, on the business we are contributing to, right? On all the people around us. So it's clear now that there is a correlation between our emotions and our performance, okay? So happy employees will have happy customers and it's a happy company. So it's a win-win for everyone. Now, we do have a lot of misconceptions about the topic of happiness. And for a long time, I was thinking that, once I will achieve this goal, I'll be happy. Once I will have that, I'll be happy. Well, wrong. When I really studied the topic of positive psychology and the science behind our emotions, I learned from this quote, this really opened my mind. Most of the things we think make us happy don't make us as happy as we think. Complicated sentence, but very powerful. Most of the things we think make us happy don't make us as happy as we think. Isn't it true? We have a tendency to think that having a high salary, having a great job title, having this big bonus at the end of the year, or having a cool benefits from the company will make us happier, more engaged, and more motivated, and so on. Yeah, it might be true. I don't want to leave that. I don't want to take that away. It might be true, but more in the short term, and not really in the long term. Why? Because at one point, once we have a good foundation, and we need to have a good foundation, of course, but once we have a good foundation, it was even proven by study that having more of that will not really make you happier in the long term. Because at one point, when we speak about happiness, it's not really rational, it's mostly emotional. How you feel about your job will have a stronger influence on your motivation, on your engagement, and then, of course, on your productivity, right? So we need to speak about this topic of happiness also in the workplace. It is crucial, it's really important, and we need to concentrate a bit more on the emotional level. Now, I want to ask you to think about what made you feel good at work recently. So today it's Friday, the end of the week. You had a full day behind you. Think about one specific things that made you feel good at work this week. In the context of the workplace, something that happened with a colleague, with a client, with whoever, that made you feel good at work. Think about it. Can you find it right away? Can you tell me a bit? What was it? A few words? Tell me.
Positive feedback from a customer.
Very good. What else? Yeah? Okay. And that was good for you because you could learn out of it, I guess?
No, it was more like I was expecting the call off, but it was actually carrying out what
Great.
was wrong, but solving the problem, or solution oriented.
Very good. So for some of us, it might be hard to think about something spontaneously, something positive spontaneously. When I have a bit more time, I always have this conversation like, oh, I couldn't find something because I had a very busy and stressful week. I couldn't find anything positive lately at work. And it's quite common. I have these comments, in fact. And it's not your fault. Even though you have a lot of positive stuff, at the end of the day, you are still remembering the negative experiences. And that's because of your negativity bias. So we have a tendency to remember much more the negative emotions than the positive ones, right? So it's very important to hack your brain to boost your positive emotion and to reduce your negativity bias. Your negativity bias is mostly controlled by the part of your brain called the amygdala. So it's situated in a very active part. It sends us a signal whenever something is negative. It's like the alarm, there's a danger, a risk, something negative, you need to remember it, right? It's from human evolution. So that's why very important to understand the science behind so we can really hack our brain to boost our positive emotion and reduce our negativity bias. Now, how to do it? I have a simple tip I'm doing every day is to reflect on your highlight of the day. So start to really reflect at the end of the day, what went well today? What did I enjoy? Something specific, something small that you really enjoyed, that made you smile, that created a positive emotion in you. That's the highlight of the day. You can do it every day when you close your laptop. You can do it with your family member, with your friends, and of course you can do it at work. You can ask your colleagues toward the end of the week, hey, what was the highlight of the week? It's a great way to start a meeting on a Thursday or on a Friday, right? So let's boost our positive emotion in the workplace. Let's hack our negativity bias. It's extremely important. I challenge you tonight when we are, having dinner to ask the people you met today. What was the highlight of the conference? Yeah, if you have been there since 3 days, if you have been there only today, ask everyone, hey, what was the highlight of the conference? What did you really like? It really forced us to think, because we have been learning a lot the last 3 days, even today. We have been learning a lot. So let's really try to focus on what did we really enjoy in this conference. Yeah, what was the highlight? Of course, there are plenty of other ways to boost our positivity in the workplace. Everything related to gratefulness, to recognition, to feedback are powerful tools to reduce our negativity bias, to boost positivity in the workplace. But please do not take me wrong. I'm not saying that we should be happy all the time and positive and peace and love, definitely not. This is toxic positivity. Of course, we have our frustrations. Of course, sometimes we are angry, we are sad. We do have these challenging emotions, and that's okay. We are human. It's not about eliminating negativity. It's just about boosting our positive emotions in a clever way. So I'm a true believer that we should have more positive emotions than negative emotions in our life. And we should find a way, especially in the workplace, to boost our positive emotions. So again, it's not about toxic positivity. So the same way you cannot force someone to be happy and to be positive, you cannot expect from someone else to make you happier. Because at one point, your happiness is your own responsibility, right? You're responsible of your happiness. No one else does. You cannot just wait for your colleagues, for your boss, for your company to make you happier at work. You are the starting point. Your happiness is your own responsibility. That's very important to understand that. But we have a tendency to know exactly what frustrates us, what we don't want in the workplace, and we kind of forget, or we don't really take the time to reflect on what do we really like? What do we really enjoy at work? What makes us really happy or just happy in the workplace? We don't really reflect on that, right? And I call it, you need to find out your own definition of happiness at work. And for that, you can really reflect. We don't have much time today, but in the book I have also this kind of questionnaire, I cannot say it anymore, this kind of, questions for you to really answer and to find a way to reflect and to know your own definition of happiness at work. So your happiness is your own responsibility. Of course, each one of us is responsible for our happiness, but make no mistake, leaders and companies do have the responsibility to create a safe and a positive work culture. So to achieve sustainable results, we all need to be on board. Leaders also, okay? So I'm a true believer that we need to bring more awareness in companies about this crucial topic. We need to train our employees, our leaders, on emotional intelligence, on positive psychology, on stress management, on happiness at work, on how to boost positive emotions in the workplace. We really need to include all of these topics and to develop our human skills in the workplace. That's extremely important, especially with the rise of artificial intelligence. Let's concentrate a bit more on our human skills. Again, I said it earlier, the more we use technology, the more we will seek for authentic human interactions. So very important here. Now, a team with excellent human skills will definitely foster more trust, will have better relationship at work, and eventually perform better. So keep in mind that positive leadership is a skill, positive leadership is a mindset, and positive leadership is definitely an attitude. It's really a powerful tool for you to make a real difference at work. So let's recap on the 3 key points I want you to take away. First one, remember, emotional intelligence matters. So learn more about this topic, develop your emotional intelligence, find your own toolbox on how to do that. The second is really start to boost or continue to boost your positive emotions. Ask yourself, what do you need to feel good? What's important for you in the workplace? To concentrate a bit more on the emotional level. And the last one, really build your own toolbox. Your own toolbox for positive leadership, your toolbox for stress management. You need to have your tools, your tips, and your tricks on how to create a positive work culture. And it's really what motivated me to buy this book, The 100 Ideas for a Positive Work Culture, because every time I shared my toolbox with my clients, depending on the session, they all told me the same thing. We want more. This is super hands-on. We want to have more tools. And it's why I wanted to really offer like these 100 ideas, not to apply, of course, the 100 at the same time, but to really pick the one that suits you, to pick the one that you can twist to your own situation, to your own industry, to your own team, to your own personality. Because at the end, you have the power to make a real difference, but you just need to know how, right? So thank you very much for your attention. I will stay here this evening so we can continue the conversation. And yeah, please make a difference with positive leadership. This is extremely important. Thank you.